Hi my darlings, I'm Sophie Darling and welcome back to the channel. If you love anime, heartfelt reactions and deep dives into symbolism and themes, then you're in the right place. Before we jump into today's reaction, don't forget to hit that like button to show some love, subscribe if you haven't already, and ring that notification bell so you never miss a moment of fun. If you want even more exclusive content like early access to my reactions, full-length anime watch-alongs, and an amazing community of fellow anime lovers, please do check out my Patreon. You can find a link in the description box below. Your support truly means the world as it helps keep these reactions coming, and I'd love to have you join our cozy little anime family. Today, we are reacting to episode 5 of season 4 of Attack on Titan, and I am nervous, primarily because Eren has revealed himself to Reiner, and Eren wouldn't reveal himself to Reiner if there wasn't something already in play. And what I think is about to happen is that Eren's about to declare war on Marley before Marley can declare war on Paradise. They're going to hit them first, they're going to take them by surprise, and it's going to throw everything into question because they're not ready. They're not prepared for Paradise launching this first attack. And they've had 4 years to prepare for this. Remember, they've had 4 years of planning. This is not like a heat of the moment thing. This is not a rash decision. This is 4 years in the making. 4 years of knowing that Marley is going to attack us. They want to eradicate us. They want to erase us. Marley's been at war with another country. They've been distracted for 4 years. They've been gunning for them. I'm so scared. I did very minimal makeup today because I haven't cried in the first 4 episodes, which is leading me to think that crying is in my near future, that the next couple of episodes are going to be extremely emotional and I'm going to be very upset. And I'm not quite sure why I get that feeling. I think I've been lulled into a false sense of security for the past 4 episodes because it's been building to the heat of war ensuing. It's been building to this. The tension has been there for the past 4 episodes, and now I think war is officially going to come into play. Oh, I'm scared. I'm so scared. I'm so nervous. I'm so excited. There are a few things that I didn't mention in my last outro that I just want to bring up here, which is I know that Colt and Falco are Grease's nephews, that they're referring to that uncle as being a Aldean patriot, as leading the revolutionists against Marley and being punished for it. And the family are trying to essentially assert themselves as loyal to Marley because of what someone in their family has done. It's brought a bad reputation upon themselves. And there's also the bigger implication that the war is not just going to be confined to Marley and Paradise. We've seen that someone from the East is very sympathetic to the audience, and that by extension means that they may side against Marley, that this may not be a war between just Marley and Paradise, but other people on the continent as well weighing in, taking sides. This could be an all-out battle that we've never seen before. And that's a scary prospect. But also the mention that Marley is not the only place with these internment camps, but Marley's internment camps are the least bad, which is insane to me, and also begs the question of how bad are the other internment camps if Marley's is the least bad? But Marley's is probably the least bad because they weaponize them. So they kind of have to keep them on side somewhat. They kind of have to treat them well enough to conscript them into becoming warriors. Otherwise, they lose that additional battle tactic. The other countries don't necessarily have any use for them, so that's probably why they mistreat them so horribly, because in their minds there's no point keeping them around. They have no use, whereas Marley sees them as something functional. They see them as something that they benefit from, which is absolutely disgusting and dehumanizing on all fronts. But just that comment that Marley's internment camp is the least worst was just a what the fuck? What do you mean it's the least worst? But we're not gonna blubber for too much longer because I need to see what happens after that meeting between them, because that's left me on a cliffhanger and I've had to put filming on hold because of work, and it's the hardest thing I've had to do because I just wanted to see what happened next. So we're gonna get into episode 5 and I'm so scared, guys. I'm so scared. I've never seen that warning before on any episode.
なんで首をくる前に僕たちにあんな話をしたんだろうって。
誰かに許してほしかったんでしょう。
For running and leaving his children.
何か言えるわけないのにね。
Which is also why he killed himself, because of that guilt. It ate him up.
あのおじさんはきっと誰かに裁いてほしかったんじゃないかな。
Interesting.
いや、4年ぶりだな、ライナー。
Oh, my poor baby Falco. He's like, I didn't know.
クルーガーさん。ああ、お互い積もる話が多くてな。
Nope, they're
何から
enemies.
話せばいいかわからないんだ。
Used to be friends. Falco, bless him. Oh, poor Falco is getting dragged into this as a potential traitor to Marley, and he had no clue. No clue. I'm trying not to look at the title screens because I've been told I'm not allowed to read them because they're spoilery. I'm having to do that. Willy, what are you going to say to the audience? Because that's another thing. It seemed as if he felt maybe guilty about what his people have done.
お邪魔だったかしらね。少し顔を見に来ただけなの。いいえ、あなた方は勇敢です。我々の一族はよく知ってますもの。
Brave because he's going against the narrative of Marley, because she was sympathetic to the Aldean cause.
この上の建物は普通の住居だ。多くの住民が
Is he gonna take down this building?
ここのすぐ上でな。あれ、クルーガーさん、手を怪我しているんですか？ああ、擦り傷だ。ライナー、座れよ。
Oh, fuck! Like a ticking time bomb. He's like a bomb in the basement of a building, essentially.
ファルコン、お前もここで話を聞くんだ。
Don't drag him into this!
さて、行きましょうか。
She knows. Why isn't she staying for the speech? It's as if she knows.
レオンハートさん。
Annie's dad.
あんたの息子を出迎えた時以来か。そういや寝たきりだったフーバーさん行っちまったんだって。
ええ、息子がすべてをマーレに捧げたことが。
Aww.
きっと娘さんも立派に。
死んでねえよ。兄は生きてる。帰ってくると。
She is alive.
マーレ軍の中枢が収容区に。
My heart is racing right now. The damage that's gonna happen if Eren transforms here is immeasurable. He is so cute. Oh my god, the tension. The tension.
どうやって何しにここに来た。
Declare war.
お前と同じだよ。わからないか。お前と同じだよ。
Oh, Reiner.
仕方なかったってやつだ。
The OST. Phenomenal.
今からおよそ100年前、エルディア帝国は巨人の力で世界を支配していました。現世の人類が3度絶滅しても足りないほどの命が。
Oh my god, this soundtrack is so good.
巨人によって途方もない数の民族や文化、その歴史が奪われてきたのです。同族同士で殺し合いを始めました。巨人大戦の始まりです。8つの巨人を持つ家が
Against each other?
そしてこの状況に勝機を見出したマーレ人がいました。彼こそが英雄ヘイロス。そして彼はタイバー家と手を組み、 勝つことは不可能とされたフリッツ王さえも島に退かせることに成功したのです。
But then look what's
アビトに
happened.
退いた王は
The systematic discrimination of the Aldean people.
世界
They've
を踏み潰せるだけの
turned the
1000万
same
もの巨人が
situation
あの島に控えています。
onto everyone else. They've repeated the narrative. They were the victims and then became the victimizers. So he is promoting the narrative that they have to attack paradise or they'll be wiped out.
その脅威を排除すべく4体の巨人を島に送り込みましたが、返り討ちに終わり、戻ってこられたのは鎧の巨人のみ。つまり暗黒の人類史たるエルディア帝国
So
は
he is promoting the narrative. Okay. I thought maybe he was gonna go off base.
イエーガーはそのまま正門に行け。
はーい。
二人はこっちだ。
It's Armin.
ピークさん。
パンツァー隊、こんな日までお勤めご苦労。
そんなピークさんこそ。今日は
What is going on?
何をしている？行くぞ。
ああ、車力の巨人と運命を共にする彼らとは絆が大事でね。
今その絆に亀裂入ってないか。
My heart is racing. What is happening? The tension is unreal. He's gonna lock them in here, so if Eren transforms, there's no one to contest him.
何なんだこれは。
Oh my god.
あんなに怯えて古い友人じゃないのか。あ、古いって何年前の。
He's putting it together.
年以前なら知り合ったのはパラディ島。そんなこと。
ありえない。
まさか。
Oh, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I guess that's how Reiner feels. Like he wants to be judged for what he did because the guilt of his actions weighs so heavily upon him. As soon as I saw the back of that haircut, I was like, that's Armin, 100%. Paradise Island operation to retake the Founding Titan, a mission executed under the command of Theo Magath. 4 warriors were sent to complete the mission: Marcel, Reiner, Bertold, and Annie. Their objective was to infiltrate Paradise Island, retake the Founding Titan, and return it to Malay. 5 years after it began, 2 warriors were captured by the enemy and 1 other was killed. Though a prisoner possessing the Jaw Titan was brought back to Malay, of the original members, only Reiner returned safely. My girl, Emia. You don't have to rub it in that she's dead, okay? It's already hard enough to know that she's dead, but oh my god, I am on the edge of my seat. Falco's putting everything together. He's like, oh shit, I've been misled into believing that they're old friends, that this person couldn't possibly be someone from Paradise. He's just a kid. He's just a kid. But the way that they have devised this to ensure that the other Titans can't intervene with what Eren's about to do is insane. There's layers upon layers upon layers here. He has misled them, trapped them. Don't know where Zeke has gone. Zeke isn't with them. Where's Zeke going is the question. What's Zeke been summoned for?
さて、ここまで語った話は誰もが知る事実。
Is he gonna tell a different side?
真実とは少々異なります。ここからは我々タイバー家が戦鎚の巨人と共に
He's gonna say that the truth isn't quite what it appears.
今回初めて公表させていただきます。今からおよそ100年前、巨人大戦を終わらせたのはヘイロスでもタイバー家でもありませんでした。あの戦争を終結させ、世界を救ったのはフリッツ王なのです。彼はエルディア帝国の残虐な歴史を嘆き、同族同士の争いに疲れ果て、
Did he build the walls for that reason?
心を痛めておられたのです。彼は始祖の巨人を継承すると同時にタイバー家と画策し、一人のマーレ人を英雄と称し活躍させました。その際、安息を脅かせば幾千の巨人で報復すると言い残しました。しかし これは真
He
意で
just
は
wanted
ありません。
him and his people to live in
フリッ
peace.
ツ王は自らの思想を引き継がせるため、付箋のちぎりを生み出しました。これにより、カール・フリッツの思想は
From
代々
child
受
to
け継が
child
れ、
to child.
今日まで島から巨人が攻めてくることはなかったのです。
Because he just wanted the war to come to an end. He just wanted his people to be safe. And he clearly felt guilt for what his predecessors have done. Enough so that he felt that it was his duty to put an end to it all and to move the audience into a peaceful sanctuary, aka paradise. So there was no Malian hero. It was Karl Fritz himself that decided, I'm going to put a stop to this. I'm going to put a stop to this suffering, to this endless violence, and I'm going to take my people away, or as many of my people as I can, and create a paradise in which they can live and be safe, and to erase all knowledge of the war itself so that they never then go on to commit another war, because that cycle of violence is stopped, it's erased, it's gotten rid of. So then the hatred and the vehemence that they feel towards Marley no longer exists. He put a stop to it. But Marley didn't do the same. Marley allowed the cycle of violence to continue to infiltrate one generation to the next generation to the next generation, leading to this vehement hatred of not only audience, but those within the walls and paradise itself. Fuck. Okay. So the Tybur family were in on it as well. So he felt sympathy for the Malian people, for what his empire had done to the Malians. And his way of atoning was to take as many of his people away and leave the Malians in peace. But I guess he never expected the Malians to replicate that cycle of oppression onto the audience left behind. Because if he did think that, I think his rationale would be 100% different. I think in his mind, he saw the solution as, if I take as many people as I can and leave, the Malians can thrive and they can exist, and we are no longer a threat to them, and we're atoning for what we have done by allowing them to no longer live under the threat of Oldia oppressing them. They have an opportunity to rebuild themselves, to rebuild their society. But he probably didn't anticipate that their need for revenge, their anger over that history would then lead to them committing the same atrocities against the audience. Because if he did think that, I don't know if he would have made the same decision. Or maybe he still would have, because he would have weighed up the greatest good for the many over the greatest good for the few, and probably would have sided with what was best for the majority of the Audian people rather than the few left behind on the continent. But still, this whole idea that it's actually the Tybur family and Karl Fritz working together to allow the Malians to have a victory, to establish their own society, whilst under this guise of, well, you beat us, we're going to now go retreat behind the walls, don't attack us because we'll attack you back. Whereas that was never his intention. He didn't want to start a war. He didn't want more bloodshed. He truly wanted peace, not only for Marley, but for the audience within the walls too. But Marley couldn't allow that to happen because their need for revenge was far stronger than Karl Fritz's sacrifice for peace. I knew he was going to go on a different narrative. I wasn't sure, but it's very evident.
彼の目的は平和です。
This is a huge risk to him and his
多くの
family.
命や始祖の巨人を奪おうとするなら、それを受け入れる。ただし、いずれ報復を受けるまでの間、壁の中の世界に争いのない束の間の楽園を享受したい。王は最後にそう言い残しました。
Is to allow him and his people to live in peace. But they wouldn't say no to Marley destroying them.
フリッツ王のお膳立てだったって。壁の王が世界を侵略することがないなら、パラディ島脅威論とは何だったのか。
Completely destroys Marley's narrative of
我々タイバ
war
ー家は一族の安泰を条
as a
件に
necessary
カー
act.
ル・フリッツと手を組み、マーレにエルディアを撃った。タイバー家とはありもしない名誉を結ぶ
Traitors, but
怪しい小僧
not
に過ぎない。
in the way that I anticipated. I thought they had joined hands with Marley. So this is a shock. I still thought of him and his family as a traitor. Not so much Willy as a traitor, because it was very evident from the language that he's using that he feels a sense of guilt for what his family have done. Because the consequences of that has led the audience to being mistreated and oppressed on the continent. At the same time, I thought it was his predecessors were working with Marley to topple the audience for their own benefit, for their own good, rather than it being that they actually conspired with Carl Fritz to ensure that some aspect of peace was established and that he could atone for the sins of his predecessors, his past history, and what they did to the Malians. But at the same time, all of this has led to audience on the continent being horribly mistreated. Did they know that they were going to be horribly mistreated? Did they know that this was a consequence of their attempt at establishing a peaceful society between Ordia and Malay? It kind of seems like that's the vibe, is that they kind of knew that it would result in the audience on the continent being mistreated. But again, the whole point of Attack on Titan is the greatest good for the many over the greatest good of the few. It's a very utilitarian show of doing what is best for the majority of people versus doing what's best for only a minority. If the majority of audience can live in relative peace and harmony, then that is a more worthy goal to achieve than trying to fight a war to ensure that all audience live in peace and safety. Either way, holy shit, this is insane.
始まったか。
It's begun.
戦士を拘束する仕掛けだろうね。古典的だけど、この狭さじゃ巨大化できない。ましてや二人じゃ。
フリッツ王の平和思想は淘汰され、始祖の巨人はあるものに奪われました。
And he's here!
再び危機が迫っています。
Eren.
平和への反逆者。その名はエレン・イエーガー。
So Eren's their enemy.
ずっと騙してた。
Falco, my baby.
悪いな、ファルコ。お前には助けられた。俺に届けさせた。あの手紙は。
Plans.
家族宛ての手紙じゃなかった。仲間には届いた。
Oh, Falco.
まさか。
仲間だぞ。
They're here, Reiner.
先ほど説明した通り、王家の血筋は不戦のちぎりにより始祖の巨人を行使する
But
ことは
not Eren.
ない。
Eren is now the threat to all
始祖の巨人を
humanity.
身に宿すエレン・イエーガーは
So they're going to attack Paradise regardless because of Eren. Because they believe he's going to use the Titans within the walls to bring about Marley's destruction.
あらゆる都市や文明は踏み潰され、文字通り全ては平らな地表と化すのです。
ビリー・タイバーの言う通り、俺は悪者だ。
His anti-hero journey begins.
だが俺にもお前たちが悪者に見えた。あの日、壁が破られ、俺の故郷は巨人に蹂躙され、目の前で母親が食われた。なぜだ、ライナー。なんで母さんはあの日、巨人に食われた？
それは俺たちがあの日壁を破壊したからだ。
なぜ壁を破壊した？
混乱に乗じて壁内に
Oh my god, the soundtrack though.
王の出方を伺うために。
その任務とは？
Retrieve the founding Titan.
世界を救うことだ。
そうか。世界を救うためだったら、それは仕方ないよな。
He's now going to say that he has no choice because his decision is to save the world.
お前らができるだけ苦しんで死ぬように努力するって、そのために来たんだろう。
ああ、言ったっけ、そんなこと。忘れてくれ。
He itches his ear the same way that Zeke does.
全てが敵に見えた。そして今、海を渡って敵と同じ屋根の下で敵と同じ飯を。
Did exactly what they did.
ライナー、お前と同じだよ。海の外も壁の中も。
They're all just humans. They're all just people.
だが たちは壁の中にいる奴らは悪魔だと教えられた。一体何ができたよ。子供だったお前。
Nothing.
違うんだエレン。
He's not. You were just a child.
マルセルが食われて兄とベルトルトは作戦を中止して引き返そうとしたのに、二人を無理
To
やり引き返して
protect them, because they would have died if you went back. That's the point.
俺は英雄になりたかった。
I think it's more than just that, Reiner. I think you wanted
俺が悪いんだよ。
to protect your friends
お
too.
前の母親が巨人に食われたのは俺のせいだ。
私は死にたくありません。それは私がこの世に生まれてきてしまったからです。しかし
Because I was born into this world. He says that in series 1.
だから今、死にたくない者は力を
They're going to unite to bring Eren down, to get everyone together against Eren, and that's going to include Paradise.
皆で力を合わせれば、どんな困難も乗り越えていけるはずです。どうか私と共に
No, so it's still against Paradise. But how are you not understanding that, like,
多分生まれた時からこうなった。
you were all born this way? You're all worthy of being in this world.
今ここに宣言します。
War.
俺は進み続ける。敵を駆逐するまで。
パラディ島勢力へ宣戦布告を。
No, 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 no. You cannot leave this here. I knew it was going to happen, but holy shit. Was that Willy at the end about to be thrown into his mouth? I don't know if Willy is the Warhammer Titan. We haven't actually seen if he is, but holy shit. If he is, that's Eren consuming 3 Titans, and that's possibly why he's under the floor. Is because he's trying to take this other Titan. But that would be too convenient. It would be too convenient. I don't think Willy's the Warhammer Titan. I think it's someone else in his family line. I don't think it's Willy. I don't even know where to begin. I don't even know where to begin. Like him saying, I'm just like you. I'm going to do whatever I can to destroy my enemies in the same way that Reiner kept moving forward because he was so entrenched with the idea that they were the enemies, that they needed to be erased. I wasn't sure where Willy was going with it. I thought Willy was trying to say, we'll all band together against Eren, but no, it's still, we'll all band together against Paradise. But I guess it makes sense because Eren is the weapon of Paradise. But maybe Eren goes too far and Paradise then becomes involved with Marley and the other countries to bring about Eren's demise. But I don't know. Possibly that's how it goes. But the whole, because I was born into this world. But Eren was also born into this world. I don't know if the I was born into this world is something that he's stolen. Like a phrase that he's stolen. Because what if he can see the future? What if he already knows that Willy's going to say that phrase? So then he latches onto that in series 1. It's also something his mother says, is that my son is special because he was born into this world. So it's like a common rhetoric, but I don't know if it's just something that they have in common, that they're all fighting to establish their place in this world, that they're all fighting for something, dying for something, that they deserve to live and thrive and be at peace because they were born into this existence. They all deserve to be free, or whether it's because Eren's heard those words before, because he's already seen them in the future. Because we know that if Ymir is the coordinate, if Eren has had visions from episode 1 of series 1, then he could possibly already know how this all plays out. He could already have this in his mind as to what is about to happen, about what is ongoing. But because they're born into this world, they all deserve to be free. But they're not going to be free if this war continues, if this cycle of violence continues. And yes, Willy has taken a massive step forward with telling the actual truth. but he's still uniting them against Paradise. He's still uniting them against the other audience. Yes, he sees Eren as a threat. He sees Eren as potentially erasing them all, which from the looks of things, that's the way it's going to go, because Eren, zero hesitation. But he's seeing this as just like Reiner, Annie, and Bertold. Yes, they were manipulated and they were brainwashed and they were children. Completely understand that, completely empathize with it. They still talk about getting blood on their hands because it was necessary for them to do so. Eren's of the same mentality, which is what he means by, I'm no different to you. I've come here, I've infiltrated, I've got to know these people, I've slept under their roof, but I'm still going to do what I need to do to protect my home, my people. I'm going to become a weapon to protect everything I love and hold dear, especially if that means protecting Mikasa and Armin. He's using himself as a weapon against Marley in the same way that Reiner, Annie, and Bertold were used as weapons against Paradise. He's no different to them, and they are no different to him. They just refuse to see this common ground, to refuse to see these similarities between them. And if only they could see these similarities, you would have to question whether they could justify war, because this level of empathy and understanding is very evident, is very clear, but they're so hell-bent on this whole need for revenge, and Eren is driven by this need for revenge. But part of me has to question, how much is the revenge driving him and how much is Ymir driving him? If she has transmitted memories to him, could she be manipulating him into doing all of this? Is any of this Eren's choice? Or is this just fated for Eren to happen because it was already pre-designed 2,000 years ago? And I have to wonder, what if this has all been orchestrated to send Eren down this path of attacking Marley? What if this was all organized just so to ensure that Eren harbors hatred and revenge in his heart? But that would mean the death of his mother would have been preordained, would have been already sanctioned and planned to happen. But that's insane if so, because how would that even work? Because then that would mean somebody has literally designed everything to ensure that Eren's mother dies and to ensure that Eren harbors hatred and revenge. But that would also mean ensuring that Reiner, Annie, and Bertold attacked the walls, that they were conscripted and brainwashed into hating the walls, that Marley would discriminate and commit atrocities against the audience. But that seems like a leap. Could it really go that far back that maybe Eren had no choice and that it was all preordained and orchestrated by Ymir in the past? Or is it just all an unfortunate coincidence that all of this has led him to this point? I don't know, but part of me thinks that this is all fated to happen. That Eren was always meant to have the founding titan, and that Eren was always meant to become a weapon against Marley. Why is the reasoning? I'm not entirely sure what strings are being pulled in the background, why he's been chosen, how everything could be orchestrated in such a way as to ensure that Eren would head to Marley. Because that seems like a very organized plan with no deviation. Is that even possible? Because what about free will? But then you have to question how much is free will and how much is fate and chance. And I don't know. Where has Zeke gone? You're wanted at the gate. So Zeke's gone elsewhere. Why? What do they have in store for Zeke? Levi? Is Levi waiting for Zeke? Oh god, if so, then it's round 2 Electric Boogaloo. I kind of feel as if I don't have much to say, primarily because I really want to see the next episode now. Eren has waged war. He's declared it finally. This is going to be intense from here on out. There's going to be nothing held back. Marley is at risk. Eren's not going to hold back. As he says, he has to keep moving forward, even if that means destroying his greatest enemies. And in his mind, they are his greatest enemies. They are the reason for the Aldean people suffering. But he's also not acknowledging how, in turn, the Aldeans have made the Malians suffer. But again, it's just the replication of cycles, replication of violence. None of them are stopping to sit and think for a moment of, what does this mean for the future? Because we are just repeating the same mistakes over and over again. The Aldeans mistreated the Malians fought back, the Malians mistreat the Aldeans fight back. There has to be something in this series that breaks the wheel, that inevitably brings this all to an end, because at this point in time, it is just a replication of that cycle again and again. Because then what happens next? Either in Eren's mind, Marley ceases to exist. Maybe that's what he's looking at this is that there's no more of this cycle because we'll just get rid of Marley and the Malians in general. And then there's nothing else to threaten peace because they're gone. But at the same time, that's just committing a genocide again against the Malian people. And you've complained about them doing ethnic cleansing against your people. Genocide doesn't justify genocide, just as genocide doesn't justify genocide again. Do you get what I mean? It's just the violence repeating itself without any of them trying to actually put a stop to it. But I guess in Eren's mind, putting a stop to it means just getting rid of Marley in general, getting rid of the Malians. But that's not going to solve anything, because essentially, not Eren has started this war, but Grisha has, which was what Grisha intended to do all along. And the reason that Grisha has started it is because Grisha took the Founding Titan. The Founding Titan was locked behind this ideology. When it was passed from generation to generation to generation, it kept peace. But again, peace was never an option, because yes, there was peace in Marley, but there wasn't peace in Paradise, because Marley had no intention of maintaining that peace. Hence why they sent Reiner, Annie, and Bertold to destroy the walls and to steal the Founding Titan for their own ambition, their own goals, which was to erase the Aldeans. Eren's only returning to them what they have already done to the Aldeans in Paradise, but there's no justification for it, because it's just an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. And that's the true tragedy of this show, is that there is no justification for any of them committing these atrocities against each other. They're all humans. They all are born into this world. They all deserve to be at peace, and they all deserve to exist and thrive without discrimination, without violence, without the threat of war. But none of them are willing to quite accept that and come to an understanding of that. Willy was so close. Willy was so close to getting it, where he was like, we were all born into this world. We should band together because Eren Yeager threatens peace. He could bring these titans from inside the walls to destroy Marley. But he's not understanding why Eren would do that. Because Marley struck first. Yes, peace was established, but peace was no longer an option the minute that Marley sent 4 children to infiltrate. At that point in time, the Founding Titan was still with the Fritz family. It was still with Frida. It's the breach of the wall that pushes Grisha to asking the Fritz family to defend Paradise, to defend its people, and they refuse to do so. So he takes it for himself, because if they're not going to do it, if they're just going to allow the people in Paradise to become a sacrifice to the Malians to atone for the sins of the past, then he's going to do whatever he can within his power to make sure that they never have to be sacrificed, that they never have to experience that pain and never know why, because the history's been taken from them. I can see where Grisha's coming from. If you're not going to protect my people, then I'm going to do it for you. At the same time, there's wanting peace and there's wanting to atone for the past, and then there's being complicit in the systematic destruction of your own people as well, which is what Karl Fritz is doing. Yes, Karl Fritz established peace, established a paradise, but he was also doing so with the understanding that if Marley attacked, he would not intervene. He would allow them to destroy his paradise and his people in the process. And in his mind, the only way to atone is the eradication of the Aldeans in general. He's willing to allow his own people to be ethnically cleansed in order to establish peace on the continent. But at the same time, is ignoring that because they were born into this world, they still have the right to live and thrive and exist. They shouldn't be punished solely for what their ancestors have done. They didn't do it. They didn't commit these atrocities. So why should they be punished for what their ancestors did? Yes, they can know about it and they can atone and they can feel guilt and they can make reparations and attempt to make amendments for the past, but they shouldn't be eradicated because of it. That's just cruel and unwarranted. So I understand where Grisha's coming from. I actually empathize with Grisha in that, where it's, we're born into this world, therefore we are special. We deserve a chance to live and exist too. Why will you just sit back and be complicit in our ethnic cleansing solely because you feel guilt for what your ancestors have done? What your ancestors did was unjustifiable, but that doesn't make it okay then for the Malians to do the exact same thing to us without there being a consequence to that action. This show, man, oh, I love this show so much because it's so deep. It's so much deeper than what you think it's going to be. When you first watch series 1, you're like, oh my God, what the fuck? What am I watching? And then the more you get into it and the layers upon layers upon layers of this storytelling, amazing. I know people were angry at me saying Asayama. I'm so sorry. It's Isayama, I think. Probably still butchering it. I'm very sorry. I don't speak Japanese. I am so sorry for butchering his last name. But can someone please fly me out to Japan to give Isayama a hug? Because this is a masterpiece and I feel like I need to go and worship at his feet for bringing this show to my life. I just want to meet the man. I want to meet him. He fascinates me. He wrote this at 19. He wrote something this beautiful and this deep at 19. He's just a baby when he wrote this. It's insane. If someone out there is watching this video and would like to put me in contact with Isayama, I'd be much appreciated. Would love to meet the man. It's all gonna go up from here. There's no coming back from this. If you made it to the end, thank you so much. You are the MVPs of this channel from watching my video from start to finish. I know they're long, but this show deserves every single minute of me theorizing and rambling and analyzing. So I appreciate those of you that really enjoy this type of content and stick around. If you made it to the end, please do let me know what you are currently reading in the comment section below. It can be a manga, it can be a book. I am currently reading the Hunger Games trilogy. It's really good. I never read this as a kid and everyone was hyping up the new book that came out and I was like, I actually never read them. So now I feel like I have some catching up to do. I've read the first one in like a day. It was so good and I'm now on Catching Fire and I can't put it down. It is phenomenal. I absolutely adore this book. Yes, it's for young adults, so it's an easier read than most, but it's still so good, so intense, and a lot of the topics that it hits on in terms of fascism, censorship, control of the population through punishment and mass murder, and the idea of rebellion against authoritarian control is so relevant to today's society, and I just absolutely adore this book series so much, and I can't wait to read the new one that's come out. And then I'm also trying to read some more Japanese authors, so if you read Japanese literature, please do recommend them in the comment section below. Manga I will be reading after I've watched shows because I don't want spoilers, but I am trying to read more Japanese literature in general. Like I picked this one up the other day. I haven't read it yet, but it's Before the Coffee Gets Cold and it's supposed to be really beautiful. It's about people meeting in a cafe to reconcile their differences and to come to terms with regrets of the past, and I'm really excited to read this. My favorite Japanese book that I have read has been Norwegian Wood by Murakami, and just the depiction of mental health and the struggle of mental health is so realistically done in that text that it is probably one of the few books I have read that has genuinely made me sob and broke my heart, and I've never reread it since because it was so heart-wrenching that first time. I couldn't do it. I've also this book here called Lady Joker. So this is also by a Japanese author and it is a psychological thriller. It is a big boy. I haven't started it yet. About 5 men living in Tokyo in 1995 that meet each other at a racetrack who are all dealing with different dissatisfactions in life that represent the post-war social struggles in Japan. So I feel like this is going to be really interesting. And this is only volume 1. So I think there's a series. I am making an active effort to read as many Japanese books as I can, read more Japanese literature. If you do have any recommendations, please do let me know. I'm an avid reader. I love reading, so please give me some suggestions. I also have another book that I haven't read yet by a Japanese author called The Cat Who Saved the Books, and I did just buy it because it had a cat on it, and it's like a little magical adventure of this cat helping a young boy save his grandfather's bookshop and helps him come to terms with the loss of his grandfather. I'm looking forward to reading that because it's going to be very heart-wrenching, and there is also a sequel coming out, The Cat Who Saved the Library. So he escalates from bookshops to libraries, so I'm excited to read those books. But again, any recommendations, I will happily take them on board. I need a new bookcase. I'm running out of room, as you can tell from like books not being slotted into place. And that's not because of laziness, that's because it's full. Well, 2 shelves are not full because 2 shelves have display on it, but I need a wider bookcase because there's books over there in a cubby that are not on a bookcase. It stresses me out. But we've gone on a tangent. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this react, please consider liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment below to help boost this video into the algorithm. And until next episode, bye!